Hi, welcome to Vegetables Day 101. Be honest with you, doing these videos every day has been kind of tedious. I have enjoyed it, but I am starting to get bored with it because I'm not providing a whole lot of content. And I'm sure you are too. So in the future days and weeks, you will be seeing a little bit different content from me. For instance, this week, Scott and I are going to really concentrate on getting everything together to plant our garden. And so I will take you along with that so you can see, what it is I'm planting and how I'm doing it. I'm kind of I live in a mobile home, so I'm in a mobile home park. So we have a lot of wildlife. So there's a lot of rules that I have to follow in order to be compliant. So it'll be interesting trying to figure that one out. But also in the same time, keeping the wildlife away from the garden. I have squirrels, rabbit. We have marmots, which are kind of like groundhogs. We have geese, we have turkey, we have all kinds of birds. I even have a coyote. That's kind of scary. But with all that different wildlife, and we have wasps out the yin yang. But with all that wildlife, we really need to figure out what we can do to be compliant with the rules of the community that I live in, but also keep the critters, wildlife away from the plants. Definitely one thing I'm going to do is definitely plant the marigolds, because that really did work very well one year. I look forward to figuring out how to film that, and if it doesn't work out very well, oh well, it's a learning process for me. But as far as today's stats, I've been pretty active, I think. We'll see. But we'll start with the weight. I just weighed myself a few minutes ago, and I actually need to enter that here real quick. I was 239.5. However, this morning I was 235.9. So, that's kind of been a goal since the beginning of March for myself. I got under 240. And the last few weeks I've kind of teetered around there. Maybe gone up just a little bit above, but for the most part, definitely in the mornings I've stayed below 240 every morning. So now, my goal has been to get under 235. So now, hopefully tomorrow it'll be the same. But, I'm getting there. Slow. As I keep saying, slow and steady wins the race. Not that it's a race, but slow and steady wins. Sometimes haste makes waste, and if you try to hurry, you just waste your time, because, especially with weight loss, because if you try to do it too quickly, there's medical things that can be interfered. But I also feel, for me at least, that if I try to lose it too fast, I won't stay on the plan, won't keep doing whatever I'm doing to lose the weight. I'm having trouble with that now, even doing it slowly. But I'll have a lot more incidences where I super binge and then I'll completely give up. So, I've accepted that I'm going to have relapses. One of the presenters at the Real Truth About Weight Loss actually said relapse is part of recovery. And she deals with addiction, not just a food addiction, but all kinds of addiction. And that's one thing that she teaches her patients. I wish I knew her name. I don't have it anymore, but it was during that summit, and She was some psychologist. I want to say Jennifer Hawk or Hoke or something like that. I think that was her name. But yeah, relapse is part of recovery. So I was really happy though about that this morning. 2:35. Yes. Now hopefully it'll be that way in the morning too. Now I know some of you might say that it could just be part of my natural cycle, being female. But that's not an issue for me anymore at my age and surgical status. But as far as eating, I've only had 2 meals today, and I stopped. I think I did order out dinner, and I think it got here about 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that. So I haven't had anything to eat since then. But for breakfast, I had, I'll just call it my veggie potato mixture. I have little cube potatoes, and I add spinach, mushrooms, bell peppers, and onions. And then this time, I added a bottle of Just Egg. It's a plant-based egg substitute. And I normally don't get it because it's been priced at my local Kroger for $4.99. And I'm like $5 for maybe 2 breakfasts. That's a little expensive when I can get, a big whole egg beater container for $6.50, and it'll feed Scott a whole week. Yeah, so, just a little too expensive for me, but apparently I'm not the only one that feels it's too expensive, because they had 6 or 7 bottles that expired tomorrow, have a use by date of tomorrow. So they had them on clearance at $1.99. And I'm like, I'll get it. And it's not bad. I think the base is mung bean, but it is, a vegan substitute for eggs that has a pretty good flavor and texture. So I added that, and then I also I seasoned it with, of course, salt and pepper, seasoned salt and pepper. But I also put garlic powder, cumin, and smoked paprika on it. And OMG, it was so good. It was delicious. But I had a pretty big plate of it. So, there was no need for me to eat lunch. I did have toast with an avocado-based butter with it. And, of course, it was 100% whole wheat toast. And then I didn't have anything. No, I didn't have anything until dinner. And for dinner, I did order from the local restaurant. But what I got spaghetti with marinara, so no meat sauce. And I added mushrooms and tomatoes on it. And I did put some Parmesan cheese on it. I did have garlic bread with it. So, I had butter and garlic bread. But then it also comes with a little side salad, and I had honey mustard dressing. So, not the greatest, but it was definitely vegetarian. And it was still better than McDonald's. A lot better than McDonald's. Which, as you all know, is my addiction. So addicted to McDonald's. And then after dinner, I did have 1 piece of sugar-free dark chocolate. And that's it for food today. So I think I did pretty good. I mean, yeah, dinner could have been a little better. They do have a veggie sandwich that I could have gotten, but it would have been more bread than I had with my spaghetti, except for yeah, it would have been more actual bread because it would have been a whole loaf of sweet bread with raw vegetables, and I would have had mustard on it. And I've had that before, so it's pretty decent. And it also has cheese, so it's not vegan, but it is vegetarian. So I could have had that, but I just didn't feel up to that today. So I went ahead and, chose to have the spaghetti with the marinara sauce. And it was pretty good, except for it fighting back. Oh, I did forget. They also have pizza bread, which is just their sweet bread with pizza sauce and mozzarella cheese. And they had a slice about that yay big. And honestly, I used to gobble those up. They haven't changed anything. I mean, this restaurant's been in business since I was born. Since the year I was born. Some of you may have known it. It's called Vanti's. It's very famous around here in the area. And people who grew up here in the area but have moved away, when they come back to visit friends and family, they always go to this restaurant to eat. There's a copycat restaurant, but it's not near as good as the original. It's home of the gondola. The gondola. It's just basically a, what do they call it? Poor boy sandwich. I don't know. It's got ham, salami, cheese, and lettuce on it. But yeah, I mean, that's basically all I've had to eat today. So, not too bad, but it is starting to fight back a little bit with some reflux. But as far as the way I'm feeling, let's just take a look at this here. So, yeah, I like the percentages, don't I? And that's on my watch. Okay, as far as my move goal, I'm at 470 out of 600 calories, which is 78%. Don't have any exercise minutes, so that's 0%. Stand goal, I'm at 14 out of 12 hours, so that's 116%. I mean, that's a pretty easy goal to me. Because it only lets you go to 12 hours. And I'm usually up anywhere from 14 to 16 hours a day. Sometimes, 14 to 16 hours a day. So, to get 12 hours, I could sit down for 4 hours and still meet my stand goal. Steps, though, it just shows the difference. Today I have 4,752. And it's only 9 o'clock. So I still have at least an hour before I go to bed, so I know I will get over 5,000 steps. But right now, my 4,752 is the equivalent of 2.14 miles. So I am getting better. Feeling better. And that's evidenced through my resting heart rate is down to 59 for the day. And right now it's only 71. So, and all that pressure I was having in my chest yesterday with the increased heart rate is gone. And, whenever I have this increased heart rate, I know, let me back up. I know that many of you might be concerned that, I might be having a heart attack if I'm having a little bit of chest pressure and increased heart rate, but I'm not. I've had episodes like this, and that's why I'm on 3 different medications. I've had episodes like this for several years now, and I've had every single test under the sun. And except for that one angiogram where I had the stent placed, every single other test just came back normal. So, it's just something that happens. If it continues, so if I have it for a day or two, I'm not too terribly concerned about it. If it continues, then I will, notify the doctor. Because honestly, when it would happen, I used to go to the ER, and of course they do their standard protocol. They would do blood work, EKG, chest x-ray, stress test. It all comes back normal. I'm like, well, you're not having a heart attack. Go see your cardiologist. So, if I had something different, a different type of symptom, like the last time I spent the night in the hospital to have another stress test, I actually came from had a doctor's appointment, and I was having some chest pain and some dizziness, and he did take my EKG, which I even took my EKG because I have the little Cardia Mobile, and the EKG is fine. But when I went to the doctor's office the last time I spent the night at the hospital, he took my EKG, and there was an abnormality in the EKG. And so that's why he sent me to the ER. And then the ER did, all the standard testing. They did another EKG. I got my COVID test. That was negative. I didn't even have COVID, which they're doing for everybody now that goes into the hospital. But then they did chest x-ray. They did blood work. Everything seemed normal. The EKG, I guess, went back to normal before I left. And then I did a stress test the next day, and it came back normal. So I got to go home. And doctor said, you're fine. Let's just try to adjust your medicines. And he did make a change to my medication. That seems to have helped. I rarely have any incidences now, and it's been almost a year. The only incident has just been recently, and like I said, I'd gotten the vaccine, and I attribute it to that. And it's one of those things, I think, where it's something unique with me and my body. I always have weird things happen to me. And the only other thing I wanted to mention, I know it's, kind of long, so make sure I covered all my stats here real quick. Heart rate, activity, weight, and food. Okay, yeah. Just have a little pet peeve under my skin. And that is channels that give medical advice that have absolutely no medical training, have done absolutely no research, and do not provide any kind of scientific documentation to back up their medical advice. It gets under my skin because people are stupid. People will follow other people's advice without even doing their own research. I mean, somebody can make a joke about a very serious condition, and most people would know, oh, it's a joke, and obviously he or she is not serious. Someone will joke about doing something that the average person would know that it was a joke and not sound medical advice. But there are people who would think this person is serious and actually take that advice. And that advice is actually very harmful and ended up in the emergency room, because they took this unmedically trained person's joke, took it literally, followed what they thought was medical advice, and ended up in the ER. Happened, and some of you might know what I'm thinking about. Happened last summer. Somebody very famous said the joke, and then somebody else, and I think it was Texas or Oklahoma, followed that famous person's advice. So it really irks me when, somebody gives medical advice and has absolutely no training. In this case, and like for me, I always mention, I'm not medically trained. And I always say, this is what I have, this is what I have found that works. So make sure, this might work for you. Make sure you work with your physician or other medical professional if you want to try to follow this advice. But this particular channel, I don't know if I should even mention it, but he has a metabolic disease, but he's a preacher, and he is telling his viewers to follow a specific diet because they could beat that metabolic disease. Well, he had a video either today or yesterday, where he mentioned his viewers were asking him about another diabetes channel. This diabetes channel, though, is run by medical professionals. They mean doctors. One has a doctorate degree and one has a public health degree. So, they're medically trained. And, they're also suffering from the metabolic disease. They have a different form of it than this preacher. But this preacher says, well, let me give my 2 cents. After admitting that he'd started watching one of the other channel's videos, but didn't even bother finishing it. But does he ever say, this is what I have found, this is what works for me, but work with your medical professional? No. He says, well, this is the way it is, this is what works, and all he's done is ate a food and tested his blood with his blood glucose monitor. And then giving people advice as far as what to eat to treat their metabolic disease. I don't know why I care so much, but it does. It's always bothered me when someone talks off the top of their head. I mean, that would be like me saying that, I have interstitial cystitis, and I tell you, if you have interstitial cystitis, you have to stop eating cinnamon because cinnamon causes interstitial cystitis. Well, everybody's different. So just because cinnamon makes mine flare doesn't mean cinnamon's going to make yours flare. So my avoidance of cinnamon is not a cure-all. It's a cure. It's basically a cure for me. But it might not be a cure for you. Oh, sorry. I'll get down off my soapbox now. I hope that's, you might get something out of this video. Probably not, but, I hope that you'll continue to watch though, because I will be having a lot more content than me just sitting here telling you what my day was like. Hopefully I'll bring you along on some shopping trips too, once I feel maybe a little more comfortable carrying a camera around in the grocery store or the home improvement store. Haven't done that yet, so we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, but I do hope that you'll like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you know when you upload a video every day. In the meantime, you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.